What is up, fight fans? Welcome back to another episode of the MMAnomaly Show, No Filter. I'm your host, as usual, MMAnomaly, aka Olin, or Olin, aka MMAnomaly, whichever you prefer. And as usual, we got the co-host here, the regular Jive Turkey Nano. I finally got the pointing right. Look, it's this way. It's this way.
Let's get
there
it.
He is.
It's gonna be a good day. Happy Tuesday evening, everybody. Great to be with y'all.
Happy Tuesday indeed. Let's go. So we are going to be going over our bet versus bets from last week. We are going to be going over what we think should be next for the folks that participated in pretty much all of the main card and maybe one or two of the preliminary folks as well. And we are going to be going over what we think of how T-Piz felt about some of the fights pre and during. So yeah,
stay tuned for that.
Stay tuned for that. I think we should should we lead off with that for the folks that got here early? You know, they say the early bird gets the worm, right?
Why not, man? We can let loose a little bit. You know, start off with a good little chuckle.
So, guys, this is
what
T-Piz.
is up, fight fan?
Sorry about that. This is T-Piz going off, basically telling us how he really feels about the main event. And mind you, this is probably during the early prelims. So let's see what T-Piz had to say here.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Olin, aka MMAnomaly. I'm here with the sometimes occasional co-host, T-Piz. Always taking the piz. Look at him. He's taking the piz right now. The guy's not even ready. We are going to talk about some of these fights for UFC 288. Curious to hear what your thoughts are on the main event of the evening. We got Henry Cejudo, Triple C, the king of cringe, going in against the funk master himself, Aljamain Sterling. Who we got and why?
First off, it's goddamn good to be back here, boys. They thought they can lock me out. They can't lock me out for too long, all right? T-Piz is always going to come back in, make the shitty noise. It doesn't matter. It's going to happen anyway, right?
When you least expect it, the piz creeps up on you, as they say.
There it is, and here it creeps. We're looking at this main event right now, right? I think Triple C takes this. All right, the way I look at this, and again, this is my way of analyzing it. He's taking a long way out, right? He's coming back for a reason, right? I'm choosing you, right? It's like imagine this. You were married, now you're single again. And you got that one special person you're ready, like, I'm coming back for you. That's what he's doing, man. He's coming back strictly for Aljamain. And I'm sorry, King of Cringe is winning. I don't know, maybe second, third round if he's feeling hasty. If not, I'm thinking it goes all 5 rounds and he fucking wrestles the shit. Straight wrestling, shows him.
So if he gets it done, tell me, how do you think he gets it done? Do you think he submits him? Do you think he knocks him out? Because every single Henry Cejudo finish going into this fight is a knockout or TKO.
Got you, brother. I think it's a knockout. I do think it's a knockout. I think if it's going to be anything, I think it's going to be a knockout. And the only reason why, I think the first round or 2 rounds, Aljamain's going to show his grit. He has a lot of energy. That's the one problem, right? He's almost like Mirab. You know what I mean? Yep. They got unlimited energy.
Well, they train together.
I mean, that's unfair, man.
They're best friends. And the best thing about Aljo, in my opinion, is that he likes to poke and prod, keep something in your face or in your body, so that way you can't find a rhythm. You don't think that that'll be able to shut down Henry Cejudo?
So I would think it would be. But the way that I look at the way Triple C is, too, he has had countless amount of time, I think, in the last couple months to be able to research this main guy. Because, I mean, Aljo's been the champ for the last couple months. So I would think he's prepared himself to be able to say, all right, with the eye pokes, how do I prepare?
Technically, Aljo's been the champ for the last year plus. I mean, come on.
Think about that, bro. It's almost like I put this thing up as like a poster, and I see this every day. And when I fight this guy, I'm going to make sure that I know everything ins and out. And I feel like the last couple interviews I've watched from Triple C, he just seems super confident. And it's like, it's rare to see that in a fighter where it's like, oh yeah, dude, I think I got this. Like, he's like, no, I got this. Like, I think I know this dude's moves. And that's going to be the scary part, man. Again, the way I look at it is I think Aljo goes in with all the energy in the first couple rounds, maybe tries to get a couple takedowns, realizes that he's going against a really legit wrestler. This is my analysis, all right? By second.
It's definitely not mine.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm taking piz everywhere.
Clarify.
Here we go. He ends up using him, pushes a lot of energy down on him, and then by the second.
So he thinks Henry Cejudo is going to be able to post whenever Aljamain shoots in, and it sounds like you don't think Aljamain's going to get a single takedown on Henry.
I think he is.
Okay, all right. He does think he's going to get a takedown here.
But I think on ground, I just think Triple C is going to be a little bit better. And I would say the only reason why, fam, is because I feel like he'll have those different ways of either reversing it or trying his way to get up. And that's going to be on Aljo to do what Murad was doing, where it's constant takedowns. All right, bro, it's time to switch it up, and we're doing constant pressure. And if he does that, I think he wins it easily. But, again, the way that I see it,
Don't sit on the fence now.
MMA math, like I said, Triple C, king of cringe. It's fucking winning, brother. I'm telling you.
You all know how I feel if you watched the previous episode. I'm on Aljo, but he's taking the piss. Let's see how it turns out for him.
So,
man.
T-Piz.
Great interview,
Fucking
guys.
love that guy.
Wish I was there in person to watch the fights with y'all. It was a fun one for sure. But man, P-Riz, I think that aged as good as that aged like milk. Oh man.
Man, yeah, he definitely didn't get that one right, and that's okay. Sometimes we get them wrong.
It happens.
Speaking of getting them right or getting them wrong, let's go ahead and jump into the big thing before we start discussing what we think should be next for these folks. We had a little game of bet versus bet that started last episode. So, honestly, we had some changes undergo our bet versus bet situation here.
We did last minute, not due to us. This is not something we did.
Not due to us. There were some pullouts. There was quite a few changes to an already shape-shifted fight card.
It's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, already shape-shifted fight card. And let's try this again with the video asset instead of an image. So we had just to refresh these were the original bets. Okay, we had Yan Xiaonan and Bilal Muhammad 2-pick parlay 5 to win 27.82. We had Rafael Estevam flat 5 to win 777. That got nullified. We had a 3-pick parlay with Rafael Estevam, Aljamain Sterling, and Bilal versus Gilbert being under 4.5. The Rafael part of that one got nullified, so that ended up being just a 2-pick parlay. So either way, didn't hit.
Yeah.
We had Crone Gracie, probably the dumbest money I've spent in quite some time. We had 5 on him to win by submission. Felt like a solid bet. And then we had the far-fetched one, 17 on him to win by KO, TKO, or DQ. What ended up happening was if you've ever owned a dog and they have like a messy poop and then they do that thing where they butt scoot across the grass, that's pretty much what Crone Gracie's game plan was going into that fight. So one out of the like 3 main ones here actually hit. That was Yan Xiaonan and Bilal Muhammad money line 5 into 27.82. And jumping into Nano's picks. Nano, you want to run through these?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. Appreciate it. First off, good week on your end. I mean, obviously getting nullified is never ideal. And yeah, who'd have thought that Crone was fighting out of the 1990s? Unfortunate, but hey, it's the name of the game. Now we got my 2 bets here. Starting on the left-hand side, our 3-bet parlay, which honestly, now looking back, I probably should have pulled out maybe after like the second round of the Henry Cejudo fight. If you look at the bottom there, I did think he was going to win. I got to eat my words. I was on T-Piz's side. Man, just it was a pick 'em, right? I think ultimately Aljo did what a lot of people thought, only what you thought he was going to do. So that was the parlay buster, but hit 2 out of the 3. Bilal Muhammad taking the decision there. That was a fun fight. I don't want to say fun fight because, to be frank, it was a little unfortunate in terms of the events that happened throughout the fight and maybe what Bilal went in there with in terms of an injury, but took Bilal, got the victory, got that one, and man, got the under for Jan versus Jessica Andrade. I felt like that was going to be fireworks, and that's exactly what we got for as short as it was. We'll be talking about that one later. And then on the right-hand side here, did actually take home a little bit of money, got a little bit of positivity here going. Basically made my money back, I guess you can say, but got Demetrius Johnson to win against his trilogy fight against Adriano Moraes. That was a fun fight to watch. Demetrius just really one on the feet, one on the, on the ground, like took him down and really just all around showed he's one of the GOATs ever. And then the under on what ended up being probably one of my favorite fights to watch all night, the Drew Dober versus Matt Steamroller Frivola. Man, with 2 dogs going in there, I had a good feeling I wasn't going to see a finish. It went way quicker than I thought. I had some extra breathing room, let's say, in terms of how quick it was. But yeah, got one in the books. And I guess for looking at it, I think I lost, man. You edged me out here in terms of the unis. But hey, man, it was a fun week. We both were on the board, and that's what counts. That's what I'm talking about.
I think you actually beat me because I ended up betting over. Like I bet the 17 on Crone.
Gotcha.
So I put more units down.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's see. It was originally 7.4 to win 74.9, and you had 5 to win 32.5. You ended up winning just a little under 5 units back for the 5 you put down. So you pretty much almost broke even. I had one of my 5 units, so one of my 1 units fall off, so it was actually 6.4 units that I bet, and I ended up getting just a little over 5 units. I'll do the exact math, that way we have a running tally, but you actually won the first week, my guy. Good for you, man.
Let's go. Hey, man, it was a close one. It was a split decision, let's say, because like I said, we both won one. I think your parlay was a better one, but hey, when we're both playing with more units, it's the name of the game. I love seeing that we both got on the board, man. It's a good start.
Absolutely. And we'll definitely have some more really solid bets, I think, coming into this next episode whenever we record later in the week for the upcoming UFC fight card where we have Jalton Almeida coming in against Jairzinho Rosenstruck. But we'll save the chatter for that. And of course, D-Rod versus Ian Gary and Anthony Smith versus Johnny Walker and Tim Means versus Alex Morono. And then we got a sneaky
fun
fight.
one.
I mean, there's a lot of really sneaky, really good fights on there. Yeah, I mean, the guy that murdered Shogun Hua in his last outing is going to be fighting Carlos Olberg. Again, we have a hell of an episode coming up for you later in the week. But this episode ain't about that. This episode is about UFC 288. What happened on that card? Who the biggest winners were, other than Nano with his fucking big win here for bet versus bet. And we're basically going to go over what we think should be next for these folks. So we'll go ahead and jump into that right now. We'll go ahead and start off with the main event of the evening for UFC 288. Do you want to go ahead and lead this one off, Nano? We have Aljamain Sterling versus King of Cringe himself, Henry Cejudo.
Man, yeah, and we can go back and forth here, but I don't mind kicking us off. I ultimately was impressed with the fight. I thought it was a really fun fight. It was a fun 25 minutes in the household I was at with friends and family and little nieces and nephews running around. Just got done with the Canelo fight. So that was a good one to really keep everyone's attention. It was fast. We had a Mexican fighter in there. But man, Aljamain overall just looked really impressive. He stole the show, right? Although Henry seemed to, I feel, really not lose too much of a step. I don't want to say he didn't lose a step, but he wasn't the, version he was 3 years ago. At the end of the day, that's a long layoff for anybody. The ring rust ultimately showed. But I don't want to make it about that. I do think ultimately Aljo looked really impressive. His length, his strength, and his MMA wrestling, I think, was really what gave Triple C the problems. That just didn't allow Triple C to edge out the win. I honestly did not agree with the split decision on this either, especially hearing how some of the judges scored it. I just think that kind of diminishes Aljo's victory here. Again, he won. He was the better man in the octagon. He's now taken the crown as the best bantamweight of all time, at least outside of Demetrius Johnson. We can definitely debate about that. But he's just now starting his legacy. He's starting to hopefully take that next step in his career as a star and as someone that has a marquee, has a big name. Not a Conor McGregor, but we got a Sugar Sean O'Malley in the weights for him. And I don't know about you. I'd love to hear how you felt about the face-off, but that was so fun for me. I was excited. I was giddy. I was jolted up. I was ready a little bit to jump in there and defend my boy Sugar Sean. He was a little outnumbered. They're still in his jacket and making him look silly a little bit. And I didn't love that. It's my local Arizona guy here, but overall, man, that was a fun exchange for me personally. And I think that really hyped up the fight. Dana didn't seem to love it too much. I think some of the shoving, it was all in good fun. I mean, hey, man, we're all fighters out here. We don't expect it to be necessarily always civilized. I'm okay with a little roughness. That was a good time for my viewing pleasure.
I wasn't mad about it. I was not mad about it at all.
Yeah, it was fun, man.
I thought, I mean, like, did it feel delightfully WWE? Absolutely, it felt like a WWE thing.
Who's going to argue with that? Come on.
I wasn't mad about it, right? Like, it made sense. And like, I don't know if you heard Sean afterwards, but he was like, "Yeah, I hated him my jacket. I thought he was just a coat boy."
A coat boy, yeah, on MMAnomaly Show. That was a great line, man. I love that.
Yeah, he's a great talker. He's almost as good at talking as he is at fighting. That being said, just jumping into kind of backtracking a little bit here, how I saw the fight happening, it happened exactly as I thought it was going to, if I'm being completely honest. I said that in the previous episode, I thought that Aljamain was going to be rangy, thought he was going to be able to land takedowns, thought he was going to be able to use his length and his MMA wrestling, not his collegiate wrestling, in order to kind of negate the Olympian and kind of what the Olympian brought to the table in Henry Cejudo. And he was able to do just that. He landed not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 takedowns on an Olympian. Exactly what I said was going to happen. He landed takedowns, and not only did he land them, but when he did, he made them look easier than they should have against an Olympian, especially an Olympic gold medalist. So, fight played out how I thought it would. I know that there was some controversy around the scoring. If you thought that was controversial, you're out of your mind. The only thing controversial is that one of the judges actually gave 3 out of 4 rounds to Henry Cejudo, because that's a travesty.
Agreed.
I thought, honestly, Henry Cejudo put on a hell of a performance, especially after 3 years off. He showed that, ring rust is more of a state of mind, and it is real to an extent, right? Like I mentioned this, if you're getting punched in the face for real, if you're getting actually taken down with the intent of hurting you and submitting you for real, versus somebody that's sparring with you with the intent of making you better and helping you to be able to defend that stuff, it's different levels of intensity. It's different levels of defense that you're learning and taking from that gradually. That being said, I had Aljo winning the first, third, and fourth round pretty decisively. I had Henry Cejudo winning the second and fifth round pretty decisively. And if I'm being completely honest, there are judges that I think could definitely have given the second round to Aljo even. If I was being super biased, I could have easily said Aljo went into that last round with like being 1 round down, or not being a round down for that matter at all. So the fifth round was like, I don't care who you are. If you hate Henry Cejudo won the fifth round. that's I don't think that's debatable. That's a hard non-negotiable. Again,
he definitely had the most desperation at that time, had the most urgency, I should say.
Absolutely.
It felt like, and I think the ring rust kind of came in the sense that he was, I think, more cautious in his game plan. Maybe not trying to empty that tank and really trying to just hang on, right? Trying to be a hybrid or a Tesla or something, trying to be something fuel economic, like, hey, use energy where I can, but hey, I'm going to try to rest where I can. And I believe he said something along those lines in his post-fight conference in terms of, I wish I would have done more. I let him kind of win some exchanges or win the end of that first round. And he was saying it because I'm tired as hell. Like, yeah, I haven't fought in 3 years. I haven't been in this kind of firefight. It feels different. And you're going against someone that has been under the ringer for the last 3 years, and he's approaching his prime. 33 must feel different than 36. I don't care who you are. That's just,
absolutely. Absolutely. I can tell you
we're post USADA days. Yeah. I mean, this is post USADA days. Okay. This isn't back in the day now. Okay?
I can tell you your 30s are very different than your 20s, and your mid 30s are different than your early 30s, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So, I mean, that being said, like, it very much showed, like, to JJ Smoke's comment here, both guys underperformed, in my opinion, is what JJ Smoke said in the chat here. And I do agree to some extent, but at the same time, I don't think it was so much that both guys underperformed, so much as both guys were so evenly matched that it seemed that maybe it was a less action-packed fight than some people were expecting. In my opinion, that was a pretty action-packed fight. Both guys did a lot of different things. It was a very cerebral fight on a lot of levels, and I feel like Aljamain just was the smarter man. And if you watch Henry Cejudo's tape or his YouTube video that he uploaded this week after the fight, it's him and his wife, his fiance, his significant other. They're watching the fight together, and the entire time, like, he's trying to make excuses for himself, but he's literally sneaking jabs into his own commentary about himself, and he's like, "Fuck, his timing was really good here. Oh man, like, that entry was really good. If I would have done this, maybe I would have done this better." And that's the thing, is like, coulda, woulda, shoulda is a lot of what happened for Henry Cejudo. And that comes with being out of the octagon for 3 years and not having real-time experience for 3 years, 3+ years.
Yeah. And we have to acknowledge, man, he's funky. Aljo's funky.
He's the funk master. And that being said, jumping into what you brought up, a very good point. I actually had it written down in my notes too. Aljamain Sterling versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. I think you'd be an idiot not to have that written down in your notes if you have a podcast and you're doing a follow-up show to these fights.
Come on.
Because it's the obvious choice.
Obvious, man.
That being said, I think that Aljamain Sterling is completely better than Sugar Sean. And if you recall, if you're new to the show, first, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, smash that bell for notifications. And second, make sure you go back and watch the old videos, because you'll see that I was one of the few people that said Sugar Sean was going to beat Peter Yan, and he did. That being said, I think Aljamain just dog walks him. I think he submits him. I think his grappling is rudimentary compared to Aljamain Sterling. And that's the truth, man. And I don't think that, like, Sugar Sean has a great reach. He has great striking, but I don't think that his striking or his reach will present the amount of problems that the jiu-jitsu and grappling of Aljamain Sterling will present for him.
Yeah, you bring up some good points, man. I do think that Aljo, just all around, his strength, his length, his ability to grapple, his ability to be weird on the feet. You know, you can game plan all you want. You can have all the IQ and you can be athletic. And Sugar Sean checks off all the boxes. But there's just something about his style, his weird moving. And then once he gets a hold in, if he gets you on the ground, I mean, man, we saw what he did to Corey Sandhagen. Sugar's not that kind of guy. He's not that guy when it comes to the strength department, when it comes to grappling, even his jiu-jitsu. I mean, I know he's a black belt, but let's be honest, his best chance at victory here is controlling those entrances, working on his angles. I mean, you better be doing nothing for the next, if it's 3 months, if it's 8 months, nothing than grapple, wrestling defense, and practicing getting maybe some bigger guys, some longer guys, get that backpack, get them on your back, and just, I mean, drill in, you know.
Start training with some lightweights or welterweights.
Exactly.
I mean, like, just to interject here for just a sec, like, I know he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but in the words of the great Islam Makhachev, who give this guy his black belt?
Yeah.
We got to take this guy's black belt.
Who co-signed this? Yeah. I mean, come on. There's a lot of black belts, but you know, that's different than grappling, right? That's not that, you know, being able to throw up a choke or whatever isn't going to help you when this dude's crawling on your back, when he's smothering you, when he's chain wrestling you, when he's just being a little pest, man. You just can't get him away from you, you know? No, But, you know, I know Sugar's going to come in ready. I know Tim's going to have him coached up. And, I mean, Aljo's been KO'd. I mean, you know, if Sugar plays his cards right, anything can happen. But the reality is, I mean, the longer it goes, the more likely he's going to be in some quicksand. And I'll say then he doesn't diminish any value. I mean, we love talking kind of futures or next step. I mean, once Aljo wins, we know what he's going to do. He's going to go right back or he's going to go up to 145. And start his reign up there, or maybe get placed right in front of Volk if everything kind of aligns, I guess, timeline wise. And then Sugar's gonna be right there. Plenty of good fights for him. Marlon's still there. Corey Sandhagen would be a fun one for me personally, just stylistically. Merab's there if he ends up beating Henry. Is that a title eliminator? If, you know, I guess Merab's hurt. Who knows the timeline on all of this, right? But it's always timing. So who knows how it can play out, but there's still plenty of ballers out there for Sugar to go out and bang.
A lot of people, a lot of really great options for Sugar to bounce back off of. And losing to Aljamain Sterling is not the worst thing in the world. Speaking of losing to Aljamain Sterling, we had a man that did that on Saturday night, and we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about what we thought should be next for this young man. And I'll go ahead and lead this one off.
Please do.
I know that we're going in literal opposite directions here. I don't think he should go up in weight class. I don't think he should go to 145 and get beat up by a bigger person. What I think is he should stay at this weight class and fight a smaller person like himself that had to come up because they're tired of cutting all that weight. I'm talking about the troll himself, Davison Figueiredo. The man needs to come up from 125. Stop picking on these children at 125. They're not children. They're men. They're just small men, right? Like they're smaller than Davison. So I think Davison needs to come up to 135, and I think he should fight Henry Cejudo. If he wins, it puts him right in line to get a title shot against Aljamain Sterling, or the winner of Aljamain Sterling versus Sugar Sean We know that he carries a lot of Brazilian pop and fans, and that would only help build to the name of Aljamain Sterling, as well as the resume of Henry Cejudo if he goes out there and just absolutely mauls him. So that's my pick. Who do you think Henry fights next or should fight next?
That's an interesting one. My only, I guess, thought is, since he did help train him, I don't know if there's any conflict there or if it's kind of like
I assume that the only reason he was helping train him was so that he would download the data and know how to beat him, because he knows that Davison only had 1 or 2 fights left at 125.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably what Henry's thinking. He is playing chess out there. And I think he's more of a consultant, right? Who knows how much he's actually there. Like if it's just for a few weeks, bring him in, he kind of gives his 2 cents or helps with the game plan. Maybe that's not much, but he's definitely internalized all that data on him. Let's be honest.
Henry's not like a little helper. He's never going to help you unless there's something in return for him. Like he's what you would call in the medical or pharmaceutical world a synergistic pathogen or a synergistic parasite, right?
Yeah.
Like he's a parasite. He'll latch onto you.
Yeah.
He'll give you good stuff. Like he's feeding you nutrients too, but you don't realize what he's taking from you.
Yeah. I like that.
Right.
That's
so
scary, but yes, I understood there. Nice little science lesson.
Sorry, the pharmacy brain jumping back.
I love that.
Hey, what's up, Johnny V, the Yelp comrade?
Let's go.
My
guy. How we doing,
Johnny? Good to see you, brother.
Great to see you, man.
So yeah, sorry. Jump back into your thought. Who do you think Henry should fight?
I think I'm leaning the other way, man. I think I do see him go up. I don't know if he wants to keep doing this weight cut. Maybe he wants to pack on a little poundage. And honestly, we all know what Henry wants. He's been really clear about that. He wants a path to Volk, right? And what is that path? Who is that path? I think we all know there's only one person in mind. Another legend, another Hall of Famer, another person at 145. That's a dog. Just coming off a win. I think you know what I'm talking about. Too blessed to be stressed. I would love to see Henry Cejudo against Max Holloway. I don't know who dropped that one, but man, that is an exciting one to think about. I don't think Henry lost any stock. Yes, Aljo looked a little bit stronger, but I do think that might have kicked off the ring rust, quote unquote, that Henry might have had. I think he's going to come back even sharper if he does truly want bulk. The best way to do it is to, stay focused, do what he needs to do. But stylistically, there's a chance he can beat Max. He's got that wrestling pedigree. He's going to do his homework on his feet. He's also a boxer. But, man, we do know Max has some of the most blessed hands in the UFC. That brother puts him down. But I think that makes sense, at least in terms of, like, pedigree or just two people that are like, hey, we're big names. You want to come up to our division. Max will probably say no to anybody. I think that'd be a fun one. I think that'd be a really fun one. And again, if he winner gets Volk, that's what's at stake here.
Yeah.
I think that's how you promote it. That's all they're going to be talking about. I think, that's a pay-per-view main event. If not, I do honestly, if Henry's kind of like, like, screw this, I think I'm kind of over it. I think another just fun fight to make that would also be fun for ONE FC is he goes over there, signs a 1-fight deal, fights Demetrius Johnson, trilogy fight, main event. If he wins, I guess maybe he takes that title, or if it's just maybe no title.
I'll do you one better. If we're going all in on the freak show, have him sign with ONE and do a Thai kickboxing match against Rodtang.
Oh, geez. Well, I want to see Rodtang against somebody. I don't know about Henry, though.
DJ was willing to do it. And Cejudo's constantly trying to swagger jack DJ, so why not?
That is true. If it's a 2-fight deal, maybe it's a Muay Thai match, like you said, with him, and then gets DJ if he wins.
Rematch with DJ? Ooh.
That'd be fun. I don't know,
That'd be
man.
fun. So I have to say, commenting on your Max Holloway line there, when I originally read your notes, I disagreed with it. And I still disagree with it, just to be fair. I still disagree with it. But if he does decide to go up to 145, I do like that idea better than him just getting an instantaneous title shot against Volk. I hate that. I don't think that he deserves it, and I don't think most people deserve it. Like, aside from Volk being number 1 on the pound for pound list and him getting that instant title shot against Islam, that's the only person, in my opinion, that should have been able to go up and wait and get a title shot. Even John Jones, he's in the GOAT status talk, whatever. Still, he hasn't been dominant enough in the last few years in light heavyweight to have gone up after 3 years layoff and challenged for the heavyweight belt like he did. I still think he should have had to fight the top, someone in the top 3 and then get that title shot. So I do think that's a better runway for him before he takes flight into the championship belt. I just think Max pieces him up, man.
I mean, if he decides to try to go tit for tat and go out on a shield, or I mean, and even like Sean was saying, be out there with his chin out in that kind of side stance, that karate style stance. I mean, Max will find some angles in there. Yeah, he'll find some.
I think Max would chew his body up for breakfast, bro. It'd be so bad.
And honestly, I don't know if Henry has anything for him on the hands or legs. Like Max's iron chin, that dude's next level.
And I mean, speaking of not having anything for somebody, we'll go ahead and jump into the next matchup, which was Bilal, remember the name, Muhammad, coming in against Gilbert Burns. And I told all you guys, I'm a big fan of Dorino, especially with the fro. Big fan of Doreen fro. But I thought he was going to get Gilbert Burns, and he did. And even if he would have come in 100% healthy, I still don't think he would have had much for Bilal Muhammad, if anything. Bilal fought the first round exactly how he fought the 5th round. I will say that again. Bilal fought the first round exactly how he fought the 5th round. That in itself, if I'm fighting you and I do the same thing to you 20 minutes into the fight that I did 1 minute into the fight, bro, I'm better than you.
I mean, yeah,
because you haven't made adjustments after 20 minutes of fighting me, and I'm still doing exactly what I was doing to you 20 minutes ago. Yeah. Stop me. You can't. Like that's essentially what it felt like I was watching.
Yeah.
And it was just a brilliant performance by Bilal Muhammad. And after a performance like that, realistically, there's only one thing next for him. That's Leon Rocky Edwards. They have unfinished business. He got hit by the eye poke. It was a DQ or a no contest, whatever it ended up being. Either way, it was not a clear finish. And as a result, I think we need to see that again. I think that he should actually jump the line and get that fight before Mr. Make MMA Great Again himself, Donald Trump's favorite fighter, fucking Colby Covington.
Yeah. It almost sounded like in the pre-fight post press conference, it almost sounded like Dana kind of insinuated that, and then someone kind of asked
someone clarified
it. Yeah, and he's like, oh no, like, yeah, wait, hold on, let me. Yeah, Kobe still got it, but yeah, they're next. I'm like, what do you mean they're next? After Kobe, you gotta don't leave that part out of it. So that definitely left us on the cliffhanger a little bit there. But
I think I actually know that guy that asked that question. I think that was Jake Noacker.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Yeah, Jake Noacker asked that question, I believe.
Nice.
It was his first. Shout out Jake Noacker. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Jake Noacker MMA. I'll throw that up in the chat. He works for the Scrap. He writes for the Scrap as well.
Nice.
And he got his first media credentials for that event via Cage Side Press. And he was pretty psyched to get to ask that question. So
that's super
really
sick.
Solid question too. Like the fact that he clarified that, and that way later on people can't be like, oh, but you said, then Dana can actually finally have a foot to stand on and be like, no. I said he's next after Colby. And I clarified that thanks to Jake's question.
Yeah, I know. Cause he did say they're next, and it's like, all right, well, hold on. Are you saying next or next after? But yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree with a lot of what you said. Bilal, he displayed his championship heart. He's a gamer. He's someone that's really itched and climbed his way up to Mount Everest here, man, up to that title shot that he has definitely earned. Now, the question is, at least it's not a question. It's going to happen that Kobe's going to get it. But man, do we think Leon's going to get through Colby? I'm not 100% sure on that.
I'm not 100% confirmed on it, but
so I don't know, man. I mean, again, if we're talking about that rematch, we did see a little bit of it. Leon might have been getting the better of Bilal just a bit, but obviously the eye poke, was it like midway through round 1, however early it was, just not enough time to really dictate if that's going to happen again. And this is a new version of Bilal, let's be honest, with that Dagestani background, with just the experience he's had. And even Leon, too, he's evolved as well. That championship pedigree makes him, 20% better, Teddy Atlas says. But I do, again, I think Leon versus Colby is something we're talking about. That's going to be a fun fight and kind of a toss-up in my book. But honestly, I do think Bilal gives both of those guys problems from a striking perspective, from
Absolutely.
a wrestling perspective, grappling. I don't think any of them are necessarily black belts, but hey, they are well-rounded everywhere. They're at that top level. And yeah, I do feel like his IQ, his stamina, like you mentioned, his ability to go the full 25 and not skip a beat, not show any quivering. And just like we saw, he might have had a leg injury going into it, and he was still able to get a finish over a tough Gilbert Burns, who might have got hurt sometime during the first round. That's what people are saying, or maybe he came in with that injury. The truth of the matter is, this dude fought 4 times in the last 5 months. I mean, his body, it's got to be running on E.
Like he's
Gilbert Burns, it's got to be on E.
You can't fight that often and not have repercussions for it.
Yeah.
He probably shouldn't have taken this fight.
I give him props, man. I mean, obviously, for what's at stake, I mean, your number's called, and you do what you got to do. You stand up.
You don't want to miss the opportunity. It's like you said a minute ago. Things have to line up so perfectly. Everything has to line up, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's schedule, everybody's health, the rankings, who you beat, who you lost to, etc. Everything has to line up. The stars have to line up, and he didn't want to miss that shot. So he put his body on the line, and it didn't really pay him off so well.
Yeah.
So
he bet on himself, and I don't think he loses stock. He's still a top guy.
He's still right in there. I think you feed him to somebody right outside the top 5, not somebody in the top 5. Not because I don't think he's worthy, but because I think he needs a break. Give the guy a little bit of a break. Give him somebody right outside the top 5. Not necessarily like a young up and comer, but somebody that makes sense for him to fight. And then, Bilal versus Leon Edwards is a no-brainer. And yes, it was Jake Noacker that actually asked that question. I'm just going to play that real quick here. I did find that. So, boom.
Does that mean that they're next to fight Leon, or is Colby still in that picture?
No, we said they were next after Colby.
So Colby is still next for the title?
Yeah.
Okay. And then my last one for you, Dana. Any other plans to come back to the Northeast this year?
Any other plans to come back east?
Northeast, yeah.
Yeah. We're looking at Boston too this year.
Awesome. And then
Let's
Henry,
go
I just have one for
UFC
you.
Boston. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and drop out of that. Great question. If they go to UFC Boston, we got to get Jojo Giannetti from The Ultimate Fighter back in the UFC. Give that man his shot. It's been well deserved. He's done nothing but good since he's gotten out of the UFC again. And also, I mean, it would make a lot of sense to just get as many Boston guys on there as we can, right? And I know John Anik would be super, super psyched to be on the desk for that one. And I know us as fans would love to have him on there too. So jumping into the next one, we had the one that I called, again, I think I locked this one in like 2 weeks early as far as Bilal versus Yan Xiaonan. As soon as they released odds on that, I was like, I want this parlay, lock it in. I'm still shocked that the odds didn't shift and I got plus odds on both those people for the fights. Yan Xiaonan, I knew was going to go out there and do exactly what she did. She has improved so much.
Yeah.
So much in the
incredible.
last couple of years, man. She looked absolutely incredible. And I don't want to say that I'm afraid of what might happen if the fight I'm going to say should happen happens, but I'm afraid. And I think it should be Yan Xiaonan versus Zhang Weili in China on child violence. And the winner take all the marbles. And I think Yan Xiaonan becomes the new MMA spokesperson of China.
Shout out China MMA, man, huh? They made it to the top. They got 2 dogs. That was quite a coming out party for Yan Xiaonan. And maybe
not only
that's
2,
why.
bro. They got Song Yadong coming up too. Sorry. I mean, like they got quite a few Chinese up and comers here in MMA, especially in the last like 4 years.
Hey, we're on notice. We're putting y'all on notice. Okay,
go China.
Keep eyes on that. But yeah, man. I mean, and it's crazy. I mean, maybe because their name's hard to pronounce. Maybe just not a household name. So maybe that's why we got the plus odds. We're gonna take advantage of that every time. I'm thankful you did. But man, put away Jessica Andrade, who was, again, like I mentioned, one of my favorite female fighters. She's a dog, but she's kind of a one-trick pony, or I guess just has a lot of holes that. And if I'm being honest, I think just from a fighter like game plan perspective, what she was doing, and when she ended up throwing 3 times in a row with that lead left hook. I mean, Dana White mentioned he was sitting next to Teddy Atlas, and he's like, if she throws that one more time, she's gonna get knocked out by a counter right hook. Sure enough, lights are out, and shortly after that, something weird about it. I don't know if she just didn't respect Jan, or if maybe she kind of got fixated. Maybe just the Chinese people have her number. I don't know.
You know what it is? It's when you take back steps, or rather when you make your opponent take back steps, you assume you're winning the dance and leading the dance, and that they don't have the power or kind of structural strength integrity to knock you out moving backwards. We haven't seen too many MMA people actually do that in realistic, like, retrospect, right? We've seen the only things that come to mind for me, realistically, when we talk about backing away knockouts, are Stipe Miocic, the stepping back knockout of Fabricio Werdum, I believe, and the one that we just saw. Like, those are the two that come to mind.
Anderson Silva on Forrest Griffin too. Is
Anderson Silva on Forrest Griffin. Absolutely, that's a
nasty.
beautiful one.
Yeah,
and again, like, the reckless abandon that Forrest Griffin was coming in with, you don't typically see that kind of reckless abandon from him. He's a disciplined fighter, more than that at least. He is kind of a brawler, right? And that's what you love.
A little bit. But that was kind of what Andrade did, didn't she? Yeah, I mean, I don't know,
that's
man.
The thing is, she got lulled into it by Jan because Jan was willing to take a back step because she knew, if I can get this chick to run towards me, she'll run onto my fist.
Yeah,
and she did.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, she did. she really did. That was pretty crazy. That's like one of my favorite things of watching UFC fights is waiting for that moment. And boy, did I get us. Just did not expect it. I'm like talking Andrade up, with some of the casuals there. Another one of my favorite things to do. Just like bombard them with a ton of knowledge. They're like, dude, I'm not going to remember this, nor do I even probably fully even am retaining this, but nor do I give a shit now. But I'm still bombarding you with all this info, like, just so you know, giving you all the context. But yeah, man, that was a fun one. You mentioned a great matchup. I agree. I think Dana might. I don't know if he confirmed if this was kind of the contender eliminator, but it was certainly hinted that is the case. And putting on a impressive performance like that, how do you argue it? Right? And it's two Chinese women fighters. We can do it in China. I don't know if that's an option. Man,
I know UFC's been trying to break into China as far as doing live events there, and they are also working on a UFC Performance Institute there, the same way they have one in the US. They're also, if they haven't already built one, to my knowledge, they're working on one in Africa as well.
They are, yeah. And I think they're finishing up the Mexico one. Yeah, and then
the Mexico one is, I believe, almost done, if not done now.
So then maybe China's next then, I would assume.
I think China or the one in Africa are the next ones that are going to be finished. And I think if that aligns with the one in China being done, it's a great way to announce it.
Light it up. Yeah.
Light it up.
Spark that up, dude.
And the thing is, like, you can have two women headline it. How often do you get to say, like, hey, we're going to have these two women headline a pay-per-view. And then on top of that, it ends up being like not a situation where anybody bats an eyelash and is like, oh, brother. It's like, oh, dude. So there are two women from China that are now fighting for the belt in China.
Yeah.
Like, no one can even complain about it. And I don't think that that's the case often enough with women's MMA headlining cards. So I'm here for it. I think it'd be a fantastic card. And I snuck in. I read your notes. I know you think Weili Zhang is the better fighter, a little bit more well-rounded. I gotta disagree with you, brother.
Come on.
I think Jan's gonna beat her, dude.
Whoa. All right.
Dude,
all right.
Look.
Okay.
Look.
Talk to me.
Listen. I agree. I love Zhang Weili. I think she's great. Weili Zhang Weili. She's fantastic. I think she's plateaued to an extent. I think we've seen the best of her, and I don't think we've seen anywhere near the best of Yan Xiaonan. She's improved significantly in her last three performances in and out of the octagon, and I don't think that she's stopping anytime soon. I think, like, it's crazy. This is something that I've noticed in MMA. We'll see drastic times of a gym being at the very top of their game, and then they just fall down like a roller coaster. And then they go silent, radio silent for a year, 2 years, 3 years. And it seems like they're not really doing a whole lot as far as producing better fighters, or for that matter, making good fighters better than they were when they got there. And then out of nowhere, boom. Hey, you remember that gym such and such out in Sacramento? Oh, I think it was Alpha Male. Now I think it's like Alpha Person or something. I don't know, but they're fucking crushing it now, okay? Uriah Faber has rediscovered the secret sauce. And I think maybe the reason that he had kind of plateaued and plummeted, like I said, like a roller coaster there for a moment, is because he was in the process of building a new gym. That takes time. Getting used to and integrated to a new gym, that takes time. Building a new team, that takes time. We know there's been changes with the team, right? Dwayne Ludwig, Justin, I forget his last name, but the like Asian guy that was always their striking coach who did like some Icelandic fights. But either way, like, and then their Muay Thai coach, Tong, like, they had all these guys that are no longer at the gym, so they had to find their footing again. And I think they've finally gotten to a place where they have. So that's why we've seen people like Song Yadong really show a lot of growth in the last 3 years. People like Yan Xiaonan that have shown a lot of growth in the last few years. People like Mike Malo, Proper Mike. He's got fight news coming out soon. Can't wait to hear about that. He's shown drastic improvements, right? He went out there and knocked out Mickey Gall recently. So again, I think he's rediscovered his secret sauce at that gym. And I think for that reason, I got Yan Xiaonan. And when that fight card comes, whether it's, happening in China or the US, whether we're watching it at 8 p.m. or 8 a.m., we're betting a shot on it. And mine's on Yan.
Absolutely. Well, hey, man, that victory was very impressive. It is hard to make a case against it. Again, I still just believe that Weili's strong, man. She's stronger.
I agree with you. She's stronger, but you know who else is stronger than Yan? Jessica Andrade. How'd that work out for her?
Not good.
Sorry, I don't mean to be a dick.
Hopefully, well, no, not at all. And I'm hoping that I think, and that's where it kind of boils down to that. I don't want to say maturity, but like the fighter IQ, right? Or just the ability to fight within your emotions and not just blow caution to the wind. Like, Jessica Andrade tends to do that. Kind of bullies you a little bit. Weili, I'm hoping, and again, maybe just now that she has a few more of those championship bouts under her belt, she's gonna be juiced up. It's in her hometown, like Yan as well. Can't make mistakes. I think if she's technical, I mean, her leg kicks, like her ability to, her hands, man, like what she did to Joanna. Oh, I love Joanna, but she exploded that woman's face. She made her look like an alien.
she did. I have to, okay, before we move on to the next fight, and we're going to move on to the next fight after this, but before we move on to the next fight, I got to point something else out here. I got to address the elephant in the room, and that's the fact that Yan has been a lot more active than Zhang Weili as well. Zhang hasn't fought since November of 2022.
Yeah,
it's a long time. Fight, if it gets scheduled, it's not getting scheduled before August, September, October, like around that.
It'll probably be towards the end of the year. I think I saw that on Google as I kind of did some researching. So yeah, that's interesting.
It's a year off versus somebody who's had like 3 fights in that time span. So on the one side, you have one person that's had more time to heal, train, rest.
True.
On the other side, you've had someone that's used to getting punched in the face, used to scrambling, used to taking your lunch money when everybody's better against her, except for your boy. So we'll take that lunch money.
And she's a part of a good team, like you said. I think that does help. Like we've seen, there's another guy we'll probably be talking about here.
Like the only other girl there is Macy Barber, I think. Like,
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
she's sparring with dudes.
Yeah,
that's gonna help to an extent.
Yeah, some big names, some legendary names, and yeah, some young up and comers as well. Li Jingling, I don't know if you said him as well. Josh Emmett, Song Yadong. Yeah.
Like
studs.
So many good people at that gym, bro.
Yeah.
So moving into the next fight, we had Movsar Evloev going in against Tom DeLonge from Blink 182. I'm kidding. Not Tom DeLonge from Blink 182, but he definitely looked like him.
Where are you?
Dude, I swear to God, when he was weighing in, that's
I'm so
all I
sorry.
thought of. I'm so sorry.
Get out of my room, Mom. It's not just a face.
I mean, weigh-ins for him are really like, I cannot eat. I cannot drink tonight.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I imagine that's what was going on the whole time.
So going into that fight, right before I forgot to record it, but I asked T-Piz, the man, the myth, the legend himself, who he had winning that fight before the main card even started, before the prelims even started, really. And what did he say? He said Movsar Evloev was going to go out there and dominate. So I had to mess with him because right before the fight, he fell asleep. He literally went to the bedroom, went to sleep. So he woke up shortly after the fight, still intoxicated from the great day that we had hanging out together watching fights. And of course, I had to play a trick on him for falling asleep. So I let him know that Movsar Evloev got completely knocked out in the first round by Diego Lopez. And this is his reaction.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Olin, aka MMAnomaly. I'm here with T-Piz, who was definitely taking the piz since he fell asleep on the job. We caught him napping, we caught him slacking, and in return, he just...
And just in case anybody's wondering what is the mic in my hand, it is a lapel mic attached to a kitchen fork. I call it the fork mic because when I'm around, everybody tends to get forked up.
So that's true. That's ingenuity, and that is a good old cringy dad joke for you. Let's go.
Jumping back.
Love it.
just woke up and realized he missed the debutante making his 3-day UFC debut and knocking Movsar Evloev out. How do you feel about hearing just how bad Evloev got pelted? I know you thought he was going to go in there and dominate.
Dude, it was a hell of a fight. You know what I mean? He went in and did exactly what I was expecting him to do. I mean, what can you say? But
You talking about Diego Lopez?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You know, so I mean, hey, you tell me.
Diego Lopez. It was a check hook, right?
Who are we talking about? Who are you talking about?
Diego
Who
Lopez.
is up?
Check hook over Movsar
Absolutely.
Evloev.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh my
I just wanna
gosh.
double check with you. Just make
Yeah,
sure.
dude.
Absolutely.
It's the last time he'll fall
Absolutely.
asleep during a fight card.
Absolutely.
Back to
But
you.
you know what?
Oh my gosh, pure comedy.
Absolutely. But you know what?
What are we talking about? What is going on?
Wait, who are we talking about? Yeah, exactly.
What's
That's
my
exactly
age
how I thought the
again?
fight was going to go.
What's my age again?
So yeah, that fight was incredible. Diego
That
Lopez
was a
stepped up
fun
on
one.
3 days' notice, 72 hours, and
What
the
a
boy put on a show.
savage, dude.
What a
What a
savage! What a stud.
savage.
Fun fact, dude. For those of you that may not know, there's a young woman from Mexico, and she beat probably one of the most dominant female champs that we've ever seen in our history of MMA. Her name is Alexa Grasso. She's fantastic. I was one
girl.
of the few people that actually bet on her that day.
Nice, you were.
I had her on a parlay though, so I didn't make any money on betting on her, but that's okay.
We almost had a legendary win if she
We
would
almost had
have.
a legendary win. We almost did.
Yeah. We almost did.
But fun fact, her jiu-jitsu coach is Mr. Where Are You himself. That's who was in the octagon holding her up on his shoulders after she got the belt.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's go.
Dude.
It's
Cannot
rad.
sleep. I cannot dream tonight. I train with Alexa Grasso.
So, Six
Um,
Degrees Darkness. Yeah, that's I mean, hey, if you're
He's a
around
good guy.
championship pedigree, I mean that's something to be said, right? Not just because, I mean, let's be honest, it's not like they're necessarily exchanging all the time. They're not,
No.
freaking sparring for Christ's sake. I mean, obviously,
I mean, they might be. Who knows?
Well, maybe a little bit.
I mean,
Maybe
they're probably
some
at the
grapple.
very least rolling. Yeah.
I was gonna say definitely grappling, definitely doing some rolling.
And
Which
how did she get the win over the champ, the dominant champ? The grappling exchange,
Hey.
if I remember correctly.
So rubbing off, right? Iron sharpens iron. I think at a minimum, she's putting together people around her that are talented, that are specialists, and it shows, right? You kind of see, what is it? The rising tide raises all boats.
Rising
Is that-
tide lifts all boats.
lifts all boats. Thank you. Yeah, I mean that's what's happening here. I think it's what we saw. 3 days notice. What a savage, man. Caught Dana White's attention. That was kind of one of the notes for what's next for Mr. Diego Lopez. I just feel like anyone that's a notable name that's, in that top 25, I think would be a fan's delight, right? Maybe a striker, someone that's coming off a win, or I guess a loss, but I'd love to see someone coming off a win, a little more motivation.
I think Bryce Mitchell.
I love that. He did. I mean,
He
was
pulled
supposed to
out-
be on the card.
He jeopardized the card. This kid saved the card. At the very least, Bryce owes him something.
that is extreme. That is a good narrative. That is fun. I can get behind that. A couple
You know,
names
I
I
mean-
had, which they are all kind of in that same range in terms of like right outside the top 15. I put maybe someone like Nate the Train Landwehr or Jack
Nate's
Shore.
training UFC, baby. That guy,
Crazy
every single
train.
time he wins, he grabs the mic and says, Nate, training the UFC, baby. Every single
Dude,
time.
That just reminded me of the UFC like countdown show where they did all the cringiest moments, and that one dude back in the day like tried to get the crowd to do the chant, and they had no idea what he was saying, so it was like so cringy. Did you see that? First, did you watch the show? And then do you know what I'm referencing?
What? Sorry, what show?
The like UFC countdown show, or like
Oh,
the pre-fight?
I watched part of it. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Okay, so they did like the most cringiest like moments in UFC. There were some cringy ones, man. It was pretty fun. But one of them was this guy, like he won, and he's like, "Oh, like I want to say what's up to my fans out there. Like if y'all real ones, like all right, like say it with me." And he's all, "Don't fear me," and it was like dead silent. He's like, "Oh, come on, man. Don't fear the consequences, man. Come on." And then like goes into his little thing, like, "Yeah, I really thought whatever," but it's like, oh, like what is that?
That's
what the hell
honestly
even
amazing.
is that?
For those that have never seen a Nate the Train interview,
Hey, Nate the Train, baby. I think I still got a job after that.
At the bar.
Nate the Train in the UFC.
Nate the Train in the UFC, baby.
Nate the Train in the UFC.
The UFC.
Buckets mother what?
Check this bicep out.
Toughest mother, what? Oh man,
Damn,
that is great.
I'm sad that they didn't have the at the end of that same interview. He's all Nate the Train in the UFC, baby. He does his whole thing. He makes a call out and he's all, "Hey, check this bicep out, baby."
Look at this bicep. Look at this.
Like, he's the funniest dude.
That guy's great. I mean, how do you not want to see that guy in the octagon as soon as
He's
possible?
such good TV. He's
Yeah.
literally the like definition of great TV for a fighter. No such thing as
Reward.
bad publicity for him.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
Nate the
yeah.
Train versus Diego Lopez would be a fun fight. I'm not mad. at
Reward him for taking the short round fight, get him against a notable dude coming off a win. And yeah, winner of that takes that train momentum and keeps on rolling forward. But that was a fun video. I love how you had that pretty much on deck. Saved. You have a
that. Nate the
bookmark
Train
saved
in
of
UFC, baby.
all these great little bits to pull up. That's hilarious. That's a good one.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that at all. I think that's a great matchup for him. And then as far as Movsar Evloev, I think there's only one real matchup for him.
It literally only is.
I just scrolled up and saw that your name is the exact same as mine, so I just go out and say it. Calvin Kattar, bro. Like it's Calvin Kattar, and I think if we're
can do
smart,
the
we put
math,
them on the
yeah.
UFC Boston card.
Ooh, I mean, yeah, he's a Boston guy. That'd be fun. Yeah, I mean, those are the only two dance
That's
partners
the
within that
co-main
range.
event right there, or the co-main event at the very least. If it's a fight
Absolutely.
night, that's the co-main event though.
Definitely main card. Could be co-main in Boston. Absolutely. Maybe towards the end of this year. I don't know how much time Calvin needs, but
Maybe get Joe Lozon on there for a Legends fight, his retirement fight.
Ooh, that'd be fun. Yeah, you guys start thinking of all the Boston guys, all the East Coast guys. Who else can we put
I mean,
on there?
that's like a no-brainer for me. I think you got to have Joe Lozon on there. Joe
That'd
Lo.
be fun. Joe Low for sure.
Ready to
But yeah,
go.
and I know Ortega versus Giga's in talks. If that falls out, maybe one of those guys. But yeah, literally Calvin's like the only guy ranked ahead of Mozart that doesn't have a fight. So get this guy a dance partner, get him back in there. And Boston does sound good. That makes sense.
You know, shipping off to Boston. That's a great. Honestly, like Boston, I feel like Boston crowds are always fun. Sometimes they're a bit rowdy. You have a lot of the woo guys in there, but typically really, really good fights. The other name that I did have for Diego Lopez before we jump on to the next one, I did have someone that was right outside of the top 15 coming off of a loss. Because again, he took the fight on 3 days notice. That's why he got handed to top 15. Is he a top 15 UFC fighter? Who's to say? We should get him right outside the top 15 before we really feed him to somebody like a Bryce Mitchell. I was half serious, half joking when I said that. Only because the narrative would be there. As far as matchmaking, if I'm Sean Shelby McMaynard, I'm putting him against Billy Q. Billy Quarantillo versus him, I think would be a really fun fight. Kind of a striker versus grappler. Diego does have multidimensional fighting skills. He can strike as well. We saw that against Movsar Evloev. I'd like to see what he can do with somebody that's willing to engage in the striking with him a little bit more than the pressure game that Movsar presents. So I think that'd be a fun fight.
I like that one.
Yeah, I just think that'd be a really fun fight, and I think it's favorable for both guys.
Yeah.
Either person gets a win, they're right back into the top 15.
I love that. Yeah, reward Diego. Give them both. Give them someone that is up and coming that's trying to crack that top 15. Let's see it.
Yeah, and I mean, jumping into the next one, we had arguably one of the most disappointing octagon performances I've ever seen in my entire life. I am no longer a fan of ice cream because of Ice Cream Crone Gracie. I threw out all my ice cream.
Why would you do that? I was like, why would you
just
do
kidding.
that?
I will always love ice cream, but not
Please
Ice
don't
Cream
do
Crone. So Ice Cream Crone Gracie should not ever fight in the UFC again. And if he does, it should be a one-time match where they give a one-time contract re-signing to CM Punk.
Oh gosh, just make it a complete spectacle.
I think CM Punk wins. I think CM Punk could get his first MMA win.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he maybe. I don't know.
I think he has better striking than Crone. I'll be honest.
I mean, dude, I think a middle schooler might have better striking.
He lasted 3 rounds against Mike Jackson. Like that version of Crone, I think we're probably getting beat up by Mickey Gall.
Yeah, I think Crone maybe needs to go to 1FC and go into some BJJ tournament over there or something. Earn a little more credibility.
Yeah, go get his legs reaped and torn up by Mikey Musumeci.
I mean, I think his future in mixed martial arts is
over,
dead. That
was horrible.
Was shot. That wing was shot dead pretty much after he threw that first punch. I thought, oh my, you gotta be kidding me.
Yep. I actually heard he had to change his name to Garcia or Roberts or something.
He
can't be Gracie anymore. Yeah,
Gracie's. Yeah, no, he's crazy.
Crone Garcia.
I thought he was kidding about all that chopping wood and doing fires and playing patty cake or whatever, but he literally has not thrown a punch, I think, since Nam.
Yeah, since 3 years ago when he fought. Since over 1,000 days ago when he last fought. So that guy's out. We're not going to talk any more about him because it would be a waste of breath, just like the time spent watching that fight. Charles Air Jordan, though, looked really nice in there. He looked fantastic. I think that we should actually get a rematch of sorts between him and somebody that he fought some years ago, Juicy J. Julian Erosa. It's a pretty stacked division, and I think Juicy J is a really smart matchup for him. Again, this is one of those fights where I think it actually favors both men because both guys have had kind of a very up and down trajectory in recent years. And in the last time they fought, Julian Erosa actually got the win over him back in 2021. He got a Bravo choke over him in the third round. For Juicy J, he's coming off of 2 back-to-back losses from Alex Caceres and Fernando Padilla. So for him, it makes sense to fight a guy like Charles Jordan. For Charles Jordan, it makes sense for him to fight a guy like Juicy J. Who would be ideal for you to fight Charles Air Jordan?
Yeah, Charles Air Jordan. Man, he looked great. I mean, obviously, been easy to at least look good against Crone in there. But, man, this is a stacked 145-pound division, and I'm excited to see him fight with anybody that's in that top 25, to be honest. But, again, I think we reward people that go in there and do a great job and, go against the odds. Someone that I wrote down that I think, and I like kind of matching people up that's coming off a win. Who else is coming off a win that's kind of recent? Because, again, timing's everything. Can they both kind of take the same amount of time off, get into camp, and be ready? I think someone that I thought of was Edson Barboza as a big name, someone that's notable to go in there and, again, like kind of reward Charles, not in the top 15, but right outside of it. It'd be a big jump in terms of competition, obviously, from Crone, who we're talking about. But, man, for the 27-year young Charles Jordan, I think that'd be a fun matchup stylistically. It'd be a big name, big feather in the cap. And one of those guys got to be knocking on the door in the top 15 or something, right? If not, then I don't know what. But that was the name I had written down.
That trajectory wise, that lines up too. I think that'd be a really fun matchup. Edson Barboza, to my knowledge, doesn't have a dance partner right now. Just coming off of a win over Billy Corntillo, just got himself right back into the top 15 rankings.
He looked good.
You got to think
too.
Charles Air Jordan has got to be chomping at the bit to get himself back into the top 15 rankings. I'm not mad at that matchup at all. I think that's a very fun matchup. And last but certainly not least, we have one more fight to talk about here. And that was another one that, again, I had a feeling it was going to go this way. I said Matt Frivola might be the first one to knock out Iron Chin himself, and he did it. God damn it.
Man.
First one to knock him out in a while, at least. And, man, he made it look good. That was just a fighter's delight, a striker's delight. It was a barn burner from the very second it started.
It was, man. The way he started landing that jab right away, I knew. I'm like, oh, no, this is not going to end well for Drew. Like, get out of there. Get out of there. Don't run into that jab. Get out of there. Just keep swimming, man. But no, Matt was throwing bombs, those leg kicks. He came out guns a-blazing. He looked damn good. That was a fun one.
Bruh. Yeah, that one was solid as fuck.
Yeah, I loved it. And again, man, those tides keep rising and rising.
Longo, Sarah, Jim, man. That's another one of the legendary gyms. Ray Longo's got to be coach of the year this year, I think.
Oh, dude, he's on a heater.
He's just had a meteoric heater. Every single person he touches turns to gold.
Dude, they're cooking. They're cooking down there.
Speaking of gold, I think the next person Matt Frivola is going to knock out is that golden man himself, Patty Pimblett.
That golden hairstyle.
Man.
That's a big one. He called him out. That was a great one. Did he pull out the Chael Sonnen? And you absolutely suck.
You absolutely suck, Patty.
You absolutely suck.
Patty Pimblett.
I love that.
You absolutely suck.
You absolutely suck.
Dude, Chael Sonnen, arguably one of the best men on the mic. I don't know the exact quote that he said, but one of my favorite ones, I think it was, when they face me, it doesn't matter who you call. It can be 2 versus 1, 1 versus 1, or 5 versus 1. When I'm done with them, they're all going to need 911.
Oh, nice. Oh, dude.
It's so fucking good. He's like the best legendary WWE fighter that never went to WWE or fake wrestling.
Yeah.
I personally think Patty gets killed by Matt Frivola, but I also don't think he ever takes that fight. I think he stalls and stalls and stalls, which he's already started doing on Twitter. He's like, I'm injured right now, mate. Like, blah, blah, blah. So if he stalls, I literally wrote that down. If Patty stalls, give Matt the loser of Jalen Turner versus Dan Hooker.
Man,
both men are in the
both
top
those
10.
guys. That'd be a fun one. Yeah.
They'll be right outside the top 10. It'll be a top 15 matchup for them. Again, favorable for both men. You have one guy on the way down, one guy on the way up. Winner holds their retention in the top 15, possibly earns a top 10 ranked opponent.
I like that. Johnny agrees with you. I like that, man. I love Dan Hooker. I love Jalen. Keep them busy. I think that'll line up too in terms of timelines moving forward. Obviously Matt just fought, and man, but I don't know. There are a couple names there. I agree. I don't think Patty takes it. And honestly, he's the UFC's golden boy. They're not going to rush him into.
They don't want to feed him to a steamroller.
Yeah. So they're not going to do that. But I do think a couple of guys that are ranked ahead of him, someone like Moicano. I know he had to pull out recently. I think it was like a few weeks ago because he was hurt. That might be a red flag. Who knows how long he needs? But if they both need a little time away, maybe again timeline wise, that can make sense. Or Sarukian, excuse me, another guy coming off a W back in December. I'm sure he's itching to get back in there. One of the only guys ranked above Steamroller now that doesn't have a dance partner. That'd be another fun one. Not as fun as a Patty or like you said. I think you hit the nail on the head there. With who you mentioned as the matchup there, but give him someone good, man. And again, Ray Longo and that team, something's in the water. I mean, I wouldn't want to face Steamroller, I'll tell you that much. Oh, let's see. Are you muted? Is it my mic?
Nope, it's me. Amateur hour. Absolutely. Like I wouldn't want to go against Ray Longo's gym, and like I think Patty avoids that fight like the freaking plague, dude. Truly do. I also think that it's not a favorable matchup for him. Like if he wants to break into the top 15, he should avoid the Matt Steamroller Frivolas of the world. And
that's tough.
One of the things that I didn't think about, being completely candid with you, is exactly what you just mentioned in Moicano.
He's fun, man. He's had a great year. He's really made a name for himself. Two guys really that are really up and to the right.
And if there's one thing that I've noticed change about him, is that he's not really like he's not crazy about, I don't want to fight down. I don't want to fight up. Like, he's not worried about who he's fighting. He just wants money. I don't know if you saw his big thing. Like, the man wants money.
That's a good one, dude. New York. I love that, dude. He's
4 days notice, 5-round fight. Drinking beer, eating steaks in Brazil.
They call me, I come here.
What kind of wants money?
Moicano wants money. Dude, that is great.
Moicano wants money.
Put that on a shirt and sell it, dude. That is
Bro,
fire.
give that man his money and let's see that fight. I'm here for it, dude.
Dude, get him healthy. Yeah, now I want to know. I don't know what his injury is. Hopefully it's nothing serious that requires injury or anything like that, but I'm trying to quickly look. I don't know what it is, but man.
Hinato Moicano injury. Let's see here. It was posted on April 13th, 2023.
He was supposed to fight Sarukian.
Yeah, he was supposed to fight Sarukian.
No wonder why they both have a dance partner.
They request, let's see. Unknown at this time.
A lot of times they don't disclose it though, which I guess
that's the thing. It doesn't look like it's disclosed exactly what it is. And that makes sense,
They
right?
try
Because
not
if he
to.
comes back and tries to rush back in, the last thing you want your opponent to know is like, I'm coming back from a left ankle injury.
Yeah, or a broken
Because
hand
I'm
or whatever it
lighting up
is.
your left leg as
Yeah.
much as I can. And if I get you in a grappling exchange, I'm going for a heel hook, bro.
I mean, anything, shoulder. If I learn you broke your pinky toe,
Yeah.
I'm going to try to do bring back those heel stomps or whatever.
Chinese
Whatever it
toe
takes.
lock.
Chinese toe. Toe twist.
I'm twisting
Whatever
the
it
pinky
takes,
toe.
man.
Give it to me. No, like real talk. That's one of those things where like you never want your opponent to know your weakness. You never want your opponent to know anything negative about you. So yeah, I mean, I think we actually agreed on probably 80 or 90% of the fights, and what we think should happen in these fights. So
We might need to be matchmakers, it sounds like.
I'm telling you, if Sean Shelby or Mick Maynard want to break, holler
We
at
got to
your
be hanging
boys.
them up
We're
soon.
ready to
Come
go.
on. New
Ready to
regime
go.
coming in. Let's get
Put
it.
us in, coach. We're ready to
Put
go.
me in. Let them cook.
So in the next episode, we are going to be recording later in the week. We're going to be going over UFC Charlotte, is I think what people are calling it. I think that's what the hashtag is. Either way, I know it's a hell of a card.
That's all. Yeah, that's all I saw.
It's on
online.
ABC. It's going to be a really good one. Jorginho Rosenstruck versus Charlton Almeida. Tale as old as time. We got the old gatekeeper of heavyweight. He's not even that old. He hasn't been here that long, but he's considered a gatekeeper in my opinion, coming against the up-and-comer in Jalton Almeida, who has seemed like an absolute juggernaut to the heavyweight division. What's scary and like the scariest thing about him is he could probably cut to light heavyweight if he really wanted to.
He's that new age heavyweight, man. He's a new class
Lean,
of
mean,
fighting
like a
machine.
machine.
Yes.
Anthony Smith versus Johnny Walker promises to be an absolute slugfest. Ian Gary, best and
Back
biggest
again.
test of his entire career, coming in against D-Rod Daniel Rodriguez.
Oof.
And then we got Carlos Olberg coming in against Iho Poteria.
That's a sleeper.
That's a really, really bad sleeper, bro. That's going to be a big fight, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
And then before that, we have Tim Means coming in against Alex Morono, the Dirty Bird, going in against Victor Zaz, or at least he looks like Victor Zaz from Gotham City.
Oh, there we go.
That's going to be a hell of a fight. And somehow, some way, on the prelims, we have fights like Cody Stamen against Douglas Silva de Andrade and fucking Matt the Immortal Brown going against Court McGee. I played with fucking Court McGee on UFC Undisputed 3 like
Let's
10,
go.
12 years ago, bro. Like Court McGee is a legend.
The legend.
And if you don't know who Matt Brown is, my God, like Matt Brown fought in the first UFC event I attended live. He was going against another fighter you may have heard of, Robbie Lawler. It was an incredible fucking fight. It was at San Jose.
Beast.
And my God, it gets me hyped even just thinking about
Let's
it.
go. I love that.
So there's so many great fights on that card. It's a free card. Ian Gary wife.
Dynamite.
All right.
Fair.
Dynamite.
Retweet.
That's what that is. Dynamite. Ian Gary's wife's Dynamite. Yeah. But she's a Machado, right? He's a Machado too. He's a hyphenate. Ian Machado Gary. So again, hell of a fight card coming up in the next week. We're definitely going to do another video going over that. We'll have another round of bet versus bet for you guys. Emiliano, hats off to you, brother. You won this one. Great job. You will not win the next one, though.
Round one. Yeah, plenty more rounds to go.
Plenty more rounds to go. Either way, we both ended up hitting net positive. Good stuff. Happy about
Keep
it.
it moving. That's
We're going
right.
to keep it rolling. We're going to keep hitting these numbers and keep it going up and to the right. For those of you that tuned in live, as always, we greatly appreciate you. If you're new here, if you're returning, either way, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and smash that bell for notifications. And if you're not already subscribed to us on Twitter or on all the other platforms, look in the description below. You'll find a link to my Twitter, to Nano's Twitter, to the Spotify, to the iTunes, to all that stuff. And we hope to see you all in the next episode. So until then, we will see you next time. Later, fight fans.
Let's go.